Hello and welcome back to the channel, and thank you to all the new subscribers that have recently joined since the last upload. I appreciate all of you and I'm truly grateful. And if you're stopping by for the first time and you enjoy personal development and self-improvement style content, then consider subscribing. Sacrifice now or regret later sounds kind of like an extreme statement taken at face value, but if we strip away our initial preconceived judgments about the title of this video, hidden underneath the surface, we find one of the greatest misunderstood concepts that most people go through life unconsciously blaming circumstances for, when in fact it comes down to the law of sacrifice. Sacrifice now or regret later is a powerful concept. And if you truly understand what I'm about to tell you, this can hold within it the key to your unlimited happiness and prosperity. And it's not just for yourself. It's for you and your loved ones around you, because once you get this information, you're going to want to share it and people are going to want to ask you what happened to you. In this video, you will learn the true definition of sacrifice, what sacrifice now or regret later truly means, and how to apply this information right after you're done watching this video to immediately begin impacting and changing your lives and the lives of those around you in a more positive way. So with no further ado, let's dive into the video. The true definition of sacrifice. Oftentimes, because of the way we were raised, when we hear the word sacrifice, we think of it as losing something, or we're giving up something of great value to us. You're missing out on something that one time brought you pleasure, happiness, and short-term dopamine hits, if we're being honest. We hear sacrifice in stories where we hear about some notable person or people and that they made great sacrifices in order to achieve greatness that most average Joes weren't willing to make. So with all these preconceived ideas surrounding this one word, what exactly does sacrifice truly mean? Sacrifice is giving up something of a lower nature in order to receive something of a higher nature. We'll get into what constitutes as a lower nature and a higher nature later on in this video, as it is essential to understand this for our growth as an individual moving forward. But first, it is vitally important to understand that when we sacrifice something, we are moving something out of our lives that at the time we might perceive as a loss, but it's in order to make room for the good that we desire. In order to grasp the full context of what I just said, we have to understand what perceiving something is. The definition of perceive is to interpret or look on someone or something in a particular way, or to regard as. So with our newfound understanding of what to perceive means, if we re-examine the previous statement that sacrifice is moving something out that at the time we might perceive as a loss in order to make room for the good that we desire, we now understand that to perceive something means to interpret something or someone in a particular way, that our perception or our interpretation of something never stays the same. It's subjective. So it doesn't necessarily mean that our interpretation of what we are examining is correct. Sure, it might seem correct to us because of our biases, which were most likely created by our friends, families, and the media, but our perception of something can be changed. By the end of this video, you'll have a shift in your understanding of what true sacrifice means, and what you once might have thought was a seemingly negative word will now become a positive and empowering word to you. You will grasp the fact that through sacrifice, we're clearing space by releasing something that may initially seem like a loss in order to welcome the goodness we truly seek. So now that we understand the true meaning of sacrifice, we must also learn what something of a lower nature versus something of a higher nature is. And I think the Apostle Paul in Galatians 5 describes this perfectly. He says, "The works of the flesh or things of lower nature are sexual immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, drug abuse, hatred, antagonism, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalries, strong disagreements, divisions, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. But the fruit of the Spirit, or things of a higher nature, is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If this biblical definition of what things of a higher nature versus things of a lower nature are sounds too confusing, I can describe it in more modern terms for you. According to scientific research at Princeton University, we have two conflicting parts of our brain. One that is associated with our emotions, and the other that is associated with abstract reasoning. The emotional center of our brain embraces immediate satisfaction, while the logical part attempts to persuade us to exchange instant pleasures for enduring long-term fulfillment. Here are some examples. Things of a lower nature are things that bring us joy in the short term, like eating an ice cream, drinking a soda, watching Netflix or playing video games after work until it's time to go to bed, sleeping in every day. Things of a higher nature that bring us joy in the long term include exercising consistently, meditating, eating fruits and vegetables, drinking water, and reading in your free time to expand your mind. I could make an entire video just explaining how to master these two parts of your brain, but in this video I don't have time for that. But if you're interested in seeing a video like that in the future, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. Now that we understand what the things of a higher nature and a lower nature are, it's essential for us to understand that in order for us to receive something of a higher nature, we must willingly let go or give up something of a lower nature. Remember, we must create a space in our lives for the good that we desire. I want you to imagine a time you went to a great concert and you were amazed at the performance that you saw. Or go to a great stage play and you see acting that is impeccable. Maybe you watched a great award-winning movie and you see acting that you'll think, wow. Or maybe you watched one of the greatest athletes perform, someone like a Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, and you're watching one of the best soccer players, baseball players, football players, swimmers, or another Olympic athlete, and you'll think to yourself, wow, how does that just happen? Well, the truth is, it doesn't just happen. While some of these greats may be exceptionally gifted, those final magical moments that we can all watch and appreciate come not by chance or by accident, but they come by discipline. Discipline that is consciously chosen, ardently desired, and patiently persisted in. I like Bob Proctor's definition of discipline. He says, discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and then follow that command. There's an interview shortly after the US began its space exploration where journalist Walter Cronkite, who was the biggest journalist at that time, had the chance to actually sit down and talk with these astronauts about how they were able to get to the moon. And during this interview, the interviewer asked Walter, since he had such a close relationship to the astronauts, how did these astronauts develop the courage to get into those space capsules? And Cronkite went on to say, it didn't take any courage for them to get into those space capsules. What took the courage was the sacrifices they made, the hundreds of hours of study, the repetition in the simulators, the time spent away from the loved ones. And that's what took the courage, to prepare them to get into the capsule. It took discipline. We have to understand this truth. No one ever becomes great at anything by accident. Many people talk about and believe in the concept of people getting something for nothing, but there's no such thing as something for nothing. These astronauts gave up something of a lower nature, like going to the bar on the weekends or watching Sunday night football, staying up late, and instead they studied and practiced in order to receive something of a higher nature, like making history, being one of the 12 people ever to walk on the moon, while being paid handsome salaries for something they're extremely passionate about. For all of these amazing athletes, artists, and performers we now know because of their years of sacrifice, there are billions of others with dreams that we have not and will never hear of because they chose not to sacrifice something of a lower nature and therefore block their ability to receive their greatness. Now they face living the rest of their lives regretting what they could have become or accomplished, all because they refused to sacrifice instant gratification. So now that we have a better understanding of the true definition of sacrifice and what sacrifice now or regret later means, let's talk about how to apply this information starting right now for a happier and more abundant future. In order for us to begin applying this understanding of sacrifice, we must first review one of the most important laws of the universe, and it's Sir Isaac Newton's law of cause and effect. For example, if you smash the like button on this video, it will make my day and I will continue to want to make content like this. But seriously, the law of cause and effect applies to us in the exact same way. We can achieve nothing without paying the price. Now, paying the price includes many different things. Number one, being mindful of what information from the outside world we are allowing into our minds. We must understand that we become what we think about. We must control our thoughts if we want to control our lives. We accept only the positive thoughts and reject the negative thoughts, but we must stand guard at the gate of our mind. Number two, we must limit and/or entirely remove ourselves from negative people and conversations. Most negative people complain about what they could have done or who they could have been, but enter excuse happened, so they weren't able to achieve their goals. Humans naturally have a habit to conform to those they spend time with, so if we spend time with negative people, we gradually become more negative. But if we spend time with positive people, we will become more positive. Negativity detracts all the good you're seeking, but positivity attracts everything you'll need while making your goals a reality. Number three, courage. We must keep our goal at the forefront of our minds no matter what happens in the physical world. Courage is inextricably linked to faith. Faith is the ability to see the invisible and believe in the incredible, and that is what enables believers to receive what the majority of people think is impossible. While on your journey towards your goal, things will seem dark and you'll feel like quitting. But if you have the courage to think positive, persevere, and believe in yourself, you will achieve your goal. Number four, action. Ideas are worthless without action. Give yourself a command and then follow it. As I explained in the previous video, we are spiritual beings living in physical bodies, and spirit is always for fuller expansion and greater expression. So although sacrificing or giving up something may be difficult in the short term, in the long term you will be rewarded in even greater abundance than you could ever imagine, because spirit, who is always looking for fuller expansion and greater expression, wants you to grow, because in return it grows through you. And growth takes time, effort, and patience. If I were to give you an acorn today and told you to go bury it in the soil, you wouldn't go outside tomorrow expecting a full-grown oak tree to be bursting through the soil. But through proper placement, sunshine, watering, patience, and time, what was once a baby acorn will finally transform into a firmly rooted, unshakable oak tree. Just like the acorn must be properly tended to in order to transform into an oak, we must properly practice applying sacrifice in our lives on a daily basis until it becomes a habit. Do you hold the belief that you must sacrifice something in order to achieve your goals? Can you transform that mindset into one of empowerment, shifting from I need to give up to gain to the powerful belief of I hold the power to choose? Because we all have the power to choose. The choices you've made in the past has led up to your current circumstances right now, and the choices you're making today moving forward will determine your destiny. So my question to you is, what are you going to choose? You have the power. You have the choice. It's up to you.